Hello, everyone. I'm Barb Fuller, Vice President of Marketing at Arteriors, a leading provider of furniture, lighting, and decor. And I'm thrilled to welcome you to our second panel discussion for What's New, What's Next. Through the Arteriors Guest Designer Program, I have the distinct privilege to work with all of the talented interior designers on today's panel. In today's discussion, titled Open Door Policy, an inside look at designers' most personal spaces, they have very kindly agreed to share a close-up look into their own homes, which I can assure you are quite stunning. And live from our showroom at 200 Lex, surrounded by our Beth Webb debut collection with Arteriors, is Jackie Terrebonne, Editor-in-Chief of Galerie. Jackie is moderating today's exploration, which is quite fitting as she has covered several of these designers' homes in the magazine. Our panelists are interior designers Beth Webb, Ray Booth, Frank Ponterio, Jay Jeffers, and Windsor Smith, all celebrated personalities in the design space and all part of Arteriors Guest Designers Program. With Beth in South Carolina, Ray on the Cape, Frank tuning in from Chicago, Jay from Napa Valley, and Windsor from sunny Santa Monica, we're getting transported across the country for an intimate look at their homes and how they speak to their regional location and community. This sense of locality and place is infused in each of their collections with Arteriors. Beth debuted her first line for Arteriors just this year as part of our 2020 Inspired Collection. And we celebrate Beth as one of this year's inaugural What's New, What's Next brand ambassadors. Congratulations, Beth. Her products are front and center in our New York Design Center showroom. As you can see from directing your attention to Jackie, she is streaming live from our showroom at 200 Lex, and there's certainly a buzz during this market. Before we turn it over to Jackie, I invite you all to join the conversation on social media, sharing your favorite insights and remarks today by tagging @ArteriorsHome and hashtag WNWN. And with that, I'll pass the mic over to Jackie to begin the tour of these designers' very own and very beautiful homes. Enjoy.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I was thrilled when Arteriors invited me to host this panel because I really do think the world designers, their laboratory for ideas is where they get to fully express themselves things, and we love showing that on the next is out on Monday. Through the course of the last several months, I've been doing one-on-one interviews and talks with designers about why they love their homes more than ever. You know, designers travel the world constantly. They're here, there, and everywhere. And I feel like these last few months, they've had so much time to take a look around them, think of new ideas, change things up. And one of the designers that I spoke to about that was Beth Webb. So I'm thrilled to be talking to her today from her house in South Carolina about that space, what it means to her, and how it expresses her style. Beth?
Hi, Jackie. Hi. Oh, hi. Can you see me?
I'm so thrilled. I cannot see you, but I hope everyone else can.
Hi.
Hi, there you are.
Hi.
There you are.
How are you?
I love how you bring the outdoors in, the indoors out, but you know, this house was there already. Got there, and then you sort of infused your own magic. Can you tell us a little bit about how it came together?
Well, my husband built this house in South Carolina in 2006, and he had a very masterful eye for beauty, himself, and he loved the architectural process. He was quite the minimalist, though. We had 2 sofas and a lamp when I met him. And not because of me, but because he was doing the minimal route, his own self. And, you know, often people, his friends would come in and say, it's beautiful, but it's quite austere. So my challenge was to warm it up, infuse it with a little personality, and definitely comfort was key. So, you know, I had a great canvas to work on, and, you know, it was magical in that all the right parts and pieces were already here. And we had a wonderful time sort of enjoying that process together. The other day we were looking at a book on Bray's Island, and his version of his house was in the book. And he looked at me and he goes, "I'm so fired." He said, "I'm the worst designer ever." He goes, "I can't believe I thought I could do this." He goes, "I'm so embarrassed that I thought that was even marginally good." So he has demoted himself because he does like to chime in and lend his opinion often. But he has now decided he was not set out for the role of an interior designer after all.
And you really needed more than 2 chairs there, because you have quite a large family that's spending time there together.
We do. We have 17 when it's all of us. Actually, that's growing daily. We are having another grandchild in March. We've had, 4 in the last few years. So when the whole family's here, it's actually now 21. So there are a lot of us, and this house can, you know, do the party thing, and it does it really well. So, you know, and it's a huge living room. As you can see behind me, they're 24-foot ceilings. And so we have numerous seating areas, and it's incredibly comfortable and conducive to multiple, you know, groups of people mingling in the space. They do say the big room's dead, the great room's done, but not in our family. And post-COVID, I mean, we have divided, and actually the two of us. Chuck has now sort of created a home office out of the whole sort of loft space, which is the guest bedroom. And I commandeered his office space. So, you know, he goes to his side of the house in the morning, and I stay on my side of the house. And then at night we meet for dinner. So it's making for a happy marriage.
That's fantastic. Right. And you really bring the outdoors in, the indoors out. You have huge swaths of glass in all of these rooms, and you're not just looking out on a scene. You get like a full nature show.
We get the full Monty. Yes. I mean, last night we were having dinner and 6 deer paraded through the yard because we've done this whole outdoor terrace for dining. And, you know, there are alligators on the dike, and we had otters swimming through the yard this spring. A whole family of otters, and if the dog goes ballistic, it's because the family of raccoons is walking across the driveway. So we're like the hamster in the cage, and the animals watch us, not really the other way around. I do keep binoculars on the desk though, because, you know, at any given moment there'll be a bald eagle, or there'll be, you know, osprey in the pond. So it's actually the perfect venue for the Low Country.
That sounds incredible.
Sorry, Jack.
They think are part of the inside out.
Oh, my husband was at the fire pit the other night, and a fox came within like 3 feet of him. He was just sitting quietly, and the fox was coming through the yard and didn't see him. And that they're just so used to seeing us here that, you know, we're just part of their family.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I love how you've combined some of the natural elements there as well.
Well, it is very sort of, I mean, he did this all with wonderful stone and cypress, and we have wax, black, and steel, and board form concrete, all of which actually really informed my collection for Arteriors. So we were here actually designing the entire collection, sitting at the dining room table, and many of the components of the collection really stem from this particular property.
That's great. And have you integrated the pieces in already?
Well, these are actually pre-Arteriors photographs. So Sorry, I don't have anything in the house yet, but I'm going back to Atlanta tomorrow and I'm picking up a car full and it's all coming back here. Because my husband was saying the other night, he goes, we've got to have the Montecito tray because we're going to need that to carry all the dishes out to the outdoor dining table and la, 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 la. And plus he's redesigning his office. So we're bringing some lamps down and some light fixtures and, you know, the whole 9 yards. We've also redecorated the entire office during this with Arteriors.
That's amazing. You've come a long way since those 2 chairs.
Yes, we've come a very long way. In fact, I said to someone yesterday, I said, I've got to edit. It's getting a little too crowded in here.
Well, thank you, Beth, so much. Now I'd love to talk to you, Ray, about your house on the Cape and where you are right now.
Sure. Well, we're happily...
You know, just looking at this...
Go ahead.
House, it feels very different for Provincetown, but it fits right in. I love that.
Well, you know, it was actually a goal of ours in building the house. Cape Cod certainly has enough cedar shake in it already. So we wanted to build something that was familiar to everybody and to the architecture of the Cape. But it needed to stand out and be a little bit different as well. So that was part of the goal in really designing the house. So we ended up with a vertical cedar plank that we stained a really dark black. And that was really in large part because we're on the edge of this vegetated wetland, which again is very unusual for Provincetown.
Mm-hmm.
But the house was really meant to be as respectful as it could be to the context into which we were building. And so being on the edge of this vegetated wetland, I wanted the house to really fall into the shadows and be as quiet as possible so that we're being respectful for, to that context again, that we're building in.
That's gorgeous. And how is the house situated? I think you were explaining that you enter on a lower floor, the main levels on a different floor. Can you explain a little bit about that floor plan?
It's a really kind of unusual floor plan. And it came about in various different ways, as any architectural project does. But because we're again in this wooded area, there's a lot of critters flying around. There are mosquitoes on the Cape, but they tend to kind of hover at about 9 to 10 feet off the ground. So we knew we wanted to take our main living area up a level. So it's almost like that piano nobile that they have in Italy. So you enter on the ground floor and you go through this extra wide, it's a 60-inch pivot door that we've done in this beautiful fine paints of Europe, high gloss paint in this beautiful blue. You can kind of see a little tidbit of it on the exterior photograph there. But you walk in and there's a little stair tower and there's 2 bedrooms on that floor, outdoor sleeping porch. And then you ascend to that second main level. And the first level is very squat, so it's only about 8 feet tall. When you get to the second level, you reach these 10-foot high ceilings and the walls all fall away to glass. We've got these beautiful corner windows that we designed, really in large part because we wanted the house to bear witness to this beautiful piece of property. So we really wanted to make sure that it was kind of a lens through which we would look to the forest beyond.
And I love the vertical planking on the inside that you've done. What inspired sort of building that in as part of the interior architecture?
Well, Jackie, you know, I think whether it's architecture or interior design or even product design, I think when we can take out random decisions and we can make meaningful decisions in our material selections and those kind of things, it has a little more of a resonance, a staying power. And for me, I really knew the kind of marine and fishing history that exists in Provincetown. You know, it really started as a Portuguese fishing village.
Right.
And so there's all the marine, the boats and all of that kind of language. So it felt like that was an appropriate choice of materials for our interior planking.
That's great. And it's a great way to bring that sea in without doing some of the like buoys or things that you might see again and again.
Yes, exactly.
Something about always is your mix of vintage, strike that balance, and how that in the interiors we're seeing here.
You know, I always feel like, and we talked about this before, it's kind of like, you know, trying to host the best kind of dinner party. You always want to invite a diversity of guests. And I think an interior in large part is sort of like a great dinner party. So, you know, I look to incorporate both modern elements, some things that are a little more antique or have a little bit of history to them. I think it just brings a layering to the interiors and hopefully a timelessness because it's just not all of one moment.
Absolutely gorgeous. I love it. There's just, it's so warm, but very crisp and handsome all at the same time. It looks like relaxed and easy, but done in a quite perfect manner. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Well, I enjoyed sharing it. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about the history of it.
Sure, thanks. So the house is just outside of Chicago. It's in Lake Forest. It was built, two of the buildings that are original to the property were built by David Adler. And, you know, we found it about 20 years ago and have been working on it every day ever since. Um, about 15 years ago, I added the building I'm in now, which we've converted and luckily renovated just about 2 years ago to my home studio. So that was just dumb luck that worked out from a timing perspective. So it's been great to have this space here. The image that you see on the top left, Jackie, that started its life as the original carriage house or garage. The original doors are still on the street side of it. And it's been everything since we've owned it. A small garage, it turned into one of my first offices. And now it's a little dining pavilion with wine storage at the back and great wood ceilings and great wood floors and exposed brick all around.
So has that been getting a lot of use over the past few months?
It has. You know, we always use it, but really in the fall, kind of the shoulder seasons and the spring, it becomes a really popular space. You can kind of have the doors open if it's a great day. We use it around the holidays quite a bit. You know, people tend to migrate out of the main house into that building and, you know, have drinks after dinner, smoke cigars, that kind of thing.
Oh, how fantastic. And then you also have this beautiful other outdoor dining space, which I absolutely love. Can you tell me more about the table, the stools, the chairs, all of it? It's fantastic.
Sure. So when we added this building, which is off to the right of the table that you're looking at, we created this courtyard within those three buildings and wanted a great entertaining space. You know, Chicago, we don't really have the greatest or longest, I should say, summer season. So we try to take advantage of it as much as we can. So the tabletop came from a tree that was actually on the property. It was hit by lightning, and then we had it kiln dried and sliced, and our iron people made a great base for us. And then, you know, the stumps, we basically fresh cut every couple of years and bring those in. We have little pads that go on top of those. So
Which I love. I naively thought they were like vintage faux bois stools. And then Frank corrected me, he's like, no, that's real wood. Like, that's amazing. That's even better.
It'd be great if I could find that many faux bois pieces and actually move them around. But this seems to work with our property, and there's you know, there's always a fresh supply of them. So it's great. But we use it all the time. It's nice to be able, it's myself, my wife, and my daughter. So the three of us can kind of sit on one side of it if we just want to have dinner together. Or, you know, certainly we've gotten, I think, 16 people at the table before and had a great time.
And how, can you tell me more about your, I love your studio space that you're in right now and all, how have you set it up to really function for you and working as a designer? I mean, you don't sit at that desk all day. how does that work?
Yeah, I don't. So when we first set it up, we actually had 3 offices up here and a design library with 2 other designers downstairs. And that was right when it was built about 15 years ago. So then, you know, as I mentioned, a couple years ago, we renovated this and basically blew it all out. So I tend to, like most of us, work on about 30 different things at the same time. So for me, you know, in the dormers, there's drafting tables. One of the dormers is a large standing desk with a big monitor on it. Great seating area. The TV is fantastic for teleconferencing. Of course, there's a little bar that's set up in here. And then the former design library, which is still chock full of materials, there's a table in there that also doubles as a pool table. So it's really just become a fun, creative space for me to work. And I never thought I'd use it this much, but it's been a godsend. We're all in here. And now, of course, I'm sharing it with a couple other family members who like it a little too much as well.
Uh-oh, you're gonna have to elbow them out.
Yeah.
Come work for Frank.
Oh, yeah.
Table, bar, TV. Come on,
I
brother.
know.
Exactly.
Hey, you got to enjoy where you live. That's it.
Right?
Yeah, and it looks like the chaise is the perfect place to relax after a long day in the coach house working.
Yeah, it's that's kind of the pre-dinner spot. You know, we've got a little outdoor kitchen to the right of that dining pavilion. So it's kind of nice to be able to sit there and lounge, or have other people sit there and lounge and talk to you while you're making dinner. So it's a really good spot, and it gets western light. So perfect at 4 o'clock, 4:30 till about 6:30. It's been great.
We're on our way, Frank.
Come on.
I know. What drinks are you going to mix us first? What's the Chicago drink of choice?
Well, for right now, it's somewhere between tequila or vodka. But, you know, when Miss Webb comes to town, it turns into vodka or bourbon.
Okay.
I like that about Miss Webb.
Yeah. Well, I like that about Mr. J and Mr. Frank too, and Mr. Rick, and Windsor.
Except one quick drink. It's really Jay's fault. He got me hooked on mezcal Negronis.
Right.
I don't remember where we were, but
That was in New York last year.
Yeah,
Those
thank
are
you.
fabulous and dangerous.
Yeah.
They're tough
Sneak
to
up on you.
Just what I needed. One more drink. Perfect.
That's a good one to start with, not always a good one to end with.
Yes. Yeah. In Windsor, you're in Santa Monica.
Yes, I'm here in my studio. It once was formerly a dance studio in the property, and now I've converted, since COVID, I've converted it into my home office. And it was kind of a perfect room because it just overlooks the tennis court. So I'm able to, you know, hang my head out of the window and say, "Don't hit your brother with the racket." I can reign from here and work at home too.
That's a great vantage point. That's a great, and you've been in this home for a while, right?
I have. Yeah, we completely broke our business plan of never being in a house more than 5 or 6 years, fixing it up and selling it. We've been here now 16 years. And my husband is like, during I started doing it 10 years ago, no? So, oops, I lost you.
I know you're cutting a little out, but I think I can hear you now. I hope you can hear me.
But I'm in a sleepy little canyon in near Santa Monica, and it's an equine area. We've developed a lot of properties in this area, and really love it so much. Lots of mature trees, and it's just kind of a lovely, when you come and go, the horses are moving down the horse path, so it always feels really great. It's a lovely noise to kind of wake up to. So, yeah.
That's beautiful. I think what's one of the things that's so interesting about the photos you've shared is the first one. That looks like it might be the entryway, but it looks like you might have dinner there as well. Is that right? Is that the functionality of that space, or how does it work for you?
Yeah, it's, you know, I've always been, you know, funny about dining rooms. Maybe it's because in the house that I live in now, it was smack in the middle of everything. And I felt like it was the least used space, because in another photograph that you have, it's my kitchen, where it's really set into the garden. And so we have all the windows around it. And that's where we keep our, you know, our dining table. And that's where all the good eating happens. My husband loves to cut. We do a lot of, you know, from our garden. So and just move around recently, because it has these very tall clerestory windows, and you could see the treetops, and they're beautiful. Garden from all the windows, and from the outside I brought in, you can barely see it out of frame, but the wisteria that's growing over the door, I brought in and kind of trim, you know, dressed the chandelier. I have a 16th century Venetian chandelier there, and so I like to play around in the house. And with COVID, my mind has, you know, been very active. Bringing a lot of the garden inside. It seems to be sort of what's relaxing me these days.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. And is that what you've done with the mirror as well? Have you sort of found something in the garden and wrapped that in the mirror?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I didn't realize just how much beautiful greenery there is on this property. I took it for granted. You know, I was kind of it's like sort of a place to throw my bag in between. It was literally, you know, okay, cut me loose. But now I've spent so much time here, and I've realized that the garden is just like my most favorite place to be. So I've tried to sort of bring as much of that into the house as possible.
That's great. And in the living, is that the living room with the great salon style hang?
Yes, that's sort of it's sort of like a big sitting room. It's where the TV resides, so it gets a lot of action. That, you know, compilation on the wall was a product of downtime and, you know, really sort of looking at these frames that I had collected for many, many years, and deciding to put some of my own photography, etchings, line drawings in them. And peeking out from there is Sir. He is our mascot, but also our youngest son, and far more demanding than the other two. But anyways, so he's been, you know, such a joy to be with.
I love it. And so do you have any secret, I mean, this hang looks amazing. And do you have any secrets to tying something like this all together? Or are you just trusting your eye and going crazy and mixing it all up?
It's my secret. I have a secret weapon, and that's a wonderful gentleman by the name of Alfonso. And Alfonso, I've yet to find something that Alfonso cannot do, cannot fix, cannot make wonderful. And so we just, you know, opened a bottle of wine and, you know, started putting this up freestyle. And I'm just, you know, I've been crazy about it. And it's been so much fun to see these things that have been tucked in corners and in shelves and in little folios back, you know, tidied away. And now it's nice to see them out and in full bloom.
That's beautiful. And is it, is the sofa slip covered as well? It looks so inviting.
Yeah, you know, actually that's a Minotti sofa from years ago. And I just thought it would be so much better if we just put a linen, you know, slip cover that was perfectly wrinkled and could take a lot of traffic. And I can't tell you how many people have flopped on that couch after a dinner party with a little too much wine. So I found people there in the morning on a Sunday morning before. So.
All right. So it is very inviting after all.
Clearly. It also allows you to sort of get a lot of people into the room. We sort of use that room a little bit as a screening room. And so I pushed furniture to the peripheral of the room and then have a double-sided couch that's in the center of the room. So we literally have it. It's all about seating in that room. And then I took also, you can barely see, it's just in front of Sir, there's old chairs that I've had for many years, original George Smith chairs, which I love that English turned leg. I mean, I love that traditional style. And I made for them with a very sort of a little bit taut taffeta. I made very loose slip covers, and they're all in a pale blue. And they faded and tattered over the years, and I just love them. I would never replace them.
Oh, that's fantastic. So since you've been home and throughout COVID, have you been moving things around and replacing other things? Has that been something that's popped up and been happening?
You know, it's funny. I've always been someone to buy what I love. And, you know, when it comes to found pieces and antique pieces, I went into this business as an antique dealer first and then became a designer. So the chandelier that I have in my entry, I always say, you know, it's like my wedding ring. I've had it, it's resided over the entry of every home we've ever owned. And so 26 years later with my husband, you know, it's like, we look up at that, we're like, we're studs, right?
That's great. Thank you so much, Windsor.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, it cut out a little, but I can hear you now. Thank you so much. It's
welcome.
a beautiful.
Hi, Jackie. I can't really hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Hear you now. You're back.
All right. Where are you? And tell us about this fantastic space.
I'm in the Napa Valley, and I'm talking to you about the images that you see are a house that we recently sold. But the house that I'm in is just down the block. It's just a little bit bigger. The house that we sold was a 2-bedroom, and this one's just a little bit more space, which has been perfect for the COVID world because the third guest room became my office and that sort of thing. But it's not quite ready for primetime players. So I thought I'd show you this a few years ago first.
All right, a walk down memory lane. Do you miss it?
You know, it was a great house. We built it about 10 years ago when we were looking for a place in the Napa Valley. San Francisco is not the greatest summer time with fog and things like that. So I was like, I've got to get out of the city and find a place that has a pool and that can have a pool and that sort of thing. And we were looking up here, and this is a little 60s ranch that we pulled up to with my real estate agent. And, you know, it was not the house that I wanted. And I was like, Tim, I'm not even getting out of the car. He's like, get out of the car, took me through the house. We didn't even look at the house and into the backyard, which backs up to a vineyard that's owned by somebody else, which is the best kind of vineyard to have. And was like, here's your house. So the rest of it, you can do whatever you want to. So we ended up gutting it down to the studs and creating this little gem of a place. I will always miss it because I have such fond memories there, but we're excited about creating new memories in this new house too.
That's great. So in this main living space, you know, was the ceiling like that? Was the reclaim wood, you know, what are the touches that you added to make this space truly yours?
Yeah, no, this house was about 1,000 square feet. We added a bedroom to it, so it's about 1,200 square feet now. So it's a small house, and it was 8-foot ceilings. So we opened up the ceilings, we put 16 feet of glass. The front door is actually a big glass slider, and the back door is the same that goes out into the backyard that you see. And I realized when I was doing this house that I hadn't had white walls in my own home for over 10 years. Everything was either, you know, a dark color or a color. So I challenged myself to paint the entire house white. I couldn't quite do it. Once I got reclaimed wood, I was like, I've got to have some texture in here. I won't paint, but I've got to have some texture. And then the little wall that you see behind the cabinet there, I had to just get a little color in there. So I painted that yellow, but everything else is white. I stuck to my guns on that part.
Collection.
You cut out on me a little bit, but I'm just going to tell you about that collection of creamware. I'm assuming that's what you asked.
Yes. You're a mind reader or a lip reader. I don't know which one.
That's a vintage China that we found that we stripped down and just lightened it up. And creamware is something that my husband and I have been collecting for a long time. It's really inexpensive. Well, it was really inexpensive. Then Martha Stewart started collecting it, and it's not quite as inexpensive.
Right.
But it was the,
That happens.
yeah, exactly. In the 50s and 60s, though, it's what florists used to deliver flowers in. And it just has this beautiful matte glaze to it that's fantastic. The shapes are really interesting. There's all kinds of crazy things. And when I was doing this cabinet, I originally started putting it in there very sort of streamlined and tailored and perfect. And it kind of felt like grandma's attic. And I was like, I can't do this. And so just sort of piling them on top of each other. And we've actually collected probably 20 more pieces. And I just keep like slowly opening the cabinet and shoving another piece in and closing the cabinet and hoping for the best.
That's great. I love that element to it, and how you've mixed it up, made it your own, and made it not granny.
Yeah.
In the bedroom, I'm curious to know more about the headboard too. What's happening with the bed there?
Yeah, the wall there is a reclaimed hardwood floor that we put on the wall. And then I happened to be on a design leadership summit that some of these guys were on with me in Morocco when we were working on this house. So the headboard is actually a Moroccan rug that I bought there, and we pieced it together and made that for the headboard. And the light fixture is from Marrakesh as well. Had some fun shopping trips and brought some things back for the house. And then we just created the bed out of the same wood. And I had a retail store, and so a lot of the bedding and things like that are from some of the vendors that we worked with, and the rest of the pieces are all vintage.
Such a beautiful mix of textures. And then we can't not talk about this outdoor space, you know, the reason that you fell in love with this property. How did you design this? You know, what were you taking advantages of with the scenery, the weather?
Yeah, we wanted to, you know, obviously make it about, you know, I had to have the pool, so we got the pool in, and then really wanted to make it about the vineyard behind us, the outdoor space, just indoor, outdoor living. The doors in the Napa Valley, we have a beautiful advantage of being able to have the doors open a lot of the years. We've had Thanksgiving outside for 10 years. I think one of the years we had to put a tent up because it was raining. Otherwise, it's usually beautiful enough. It's crisp and cool, but you really do live indoor, outdoor almost all year round. So we built this canopy here. These are willow branches on the top, so it would just give you some dappled light. Mm-hmm. The table in the middle is a fire pit, so at night it does get cooler here, so we've got the warmth at night, but it's just a great place to relax and sort of hang out and chill. This was definitely a workhorse of a house. We had a party for 150 people here for the Napa Valley Film Festival, and we've had dinners and all kinds of fun stuff.
That's great. Okay, well, I'm waiting for my invitation to the new house when it is ready for prime time, because I'm intrigued where you've gone on to from here. That's fantastic. So I don't want to be super selfish and be the only one to ask questions, but with this all-star panel, I could go on forever. But we do have some questions coming in through the chat. What do we have here? There's so many. Okay. Well, someone loved your comment, Ray, about take out random decisions and make meaningful ones, which was really, really wonderful there. So this is for all of you, but how do you see interior design changing as a result of people staying home and working from home so much? That's a big one to unpack. So whoever wants to jump in first with that.
More walls.
Soundproofing.
Right.
More walls for Zoom calls, school, and everything else. The great room is sort of like becoming a thing of the past, I'm afraid.
Yeah, better lighting for all those Zoom calls.
Right.
All right, better lighting for Zoom calls, more walls and division so everyone can have their own spaces.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I think more and more, I think people are going to be looking for authenticity, you know, in the decisions that they're making around their home, because it is all so much more significant and important to us.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think it's also going to bring, you know, there's a whole batch of people that maybe didn't understand how important your own environment was until now. So I think it's a whole new appreciation for a batch of people that maybe hadn't thought about it in the way we all do.
And I think for the designers, I mean,
Right.
Jackie, I've had so many clients actually call and thank me during this. I mean, I've gotten handwritten notes saying, thank you for my beautiful home. I've never appreciated as much as I do now. So to Ray's point, authenticity. And I think a lot of people are trading up. And when I say trading up, I mean, we're looking at things in our house going, you know, I really want that forever piece. We might have made a temporary sort of fix. And I mean, we're definitely upgrading what we do have and making it each item more significant
Right.
and authentic.
And I love, Beth, how you said you're creating another outdoor dining space. What I see a lot is maybe weren't using the dining room. They just go out to eat all the time, especially in New York. And now you want more options and more ideas of, you know.
My husband's designed a guest house, a swimming pool, an outdoor screen porch. I mean, a whole separate building. We have had many, many dreams and schemes during all of this.
And I think also our clients, they want to have more skin in the game now in their own home.
Right.
They're now really connected to it and realize what a wellspring it can be. And that's beautiful to see.
That's great. And when it
More
comes
home spas.
I have another
More
home. Oh my gosh, what a dream. When it comes to designing your own spaces, you know, how do you approach the design? Ray mentioned that he incorporates history. You know, I mean, I'm sure this is different for all of you. Are you decisive when you get to choose for yourself and not present it to someone else? What's sort of the path like for different people?
I always think it's the hardest to do for yourself. You know, I understand what our clients go through when they're facing a new project. You know, to do it for yourself, it's tough. So you got to really figure out, you know, where are you going to make those decisions and how are they significant for you? Where do you start?
That's why I'm hiring Ray.
I'm hiring Beth. Actually, I want to trade houses with you. Beth. I love that.
Anytime, so honey.
I mean, we do a flipsy, right?
Yeah, we do flipsies.
All right.
You can Airbnb each other.
Yeah, I think we should all trade it up. I've been at parties at Jay's.
Hey, we should start designer B&B.
Yes.
Hey, Windsor, I like it.
Windsor, that's the best idea I've heard during all of COVID.
We can create our own network.
That's right.
Yeah, I think one of the things as designers that we do for our narrow ideas, and that part of, and that thing when you don't have somebody else narrowing down your ideas that are so, you're like, well, what about this or what about this? It's like a dog and a bone. You see something that you like or you remember something that you've wanted to do for years, and this is, your own home is a great place to experiment doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Oh my gosh, so many questions in the chat. Does anyone have suggestions for designing an outdoor patio in a cold climate such as Chicago? What should include? Maybe
I'm an expert.
That one to one of you Chicagoans. That one.
You know, here we try to really milk as much time out of it as we can, right? So we're doing a screen porch right now for someone where it's got radiant floors in it. It's got a great window system that is screen porch, and then the windows fold down at the sash to make it year round, you know, heaters up above. And, you know, really trying to make the furniture as comfortable as possible and great. You know, we've got alpaca blankets that we love to bring out and use them here. So it's just thinking through all those bits and pieces. And if you're lucky enough to get a space with a southwestern exposure, it's going to really kind of help on the day as well.
Wow.
all right.
And you can always put on a down coat and go sit outside.
Fire
I like
pits are good too.
that blanket touch. That's a mood.
From client.
Can you hear me?
What?
Sorry, we can't hear you.
Sorry, Jackie, we're losing.
One more time. We lost you for a second.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Maybe we need to start our own conversation.
What do y'all think? What do y'all think the question was?
I don't know.
So Jay, when's the party at the new house?
Yeah, Jay. And Jay, did you keep all the costumes?
Oh yeah.
Wait, what?
So this is
Wait,
a fun
what?
fact to know about Jay's house. So Frank and I have been there, but we went to an amazing party at Jay's house, and he has a whole, you had 2 rooms.
Stop.
I have pictures.
Frankie, no, come on, let's hear it.
No, the photos have all been destroyed.
Okay.
You know, that I saved.
I could actually pull those up immediately, and if I was smart enough, I could put them on the Zoom call. But Jay has 2.
I've got to go. I'll see you guys later.
But Jay has these closets full of nothing but costumes. So we all got there, and we all were having this amazing, you know, evening at Jay's house, and they kept pulling out costumes and just delivering them to people. And by the end of the night, everybody was in their full regalia. It was a magical night.
Michael LeMay. I think, it was. I think Burning Man had just happened, and my husband's a big Burning Man guy, so there were lots of things in the garage for.
There were a lot of feathers.
So y'all, we could turn this into a Zoom dance party. We could end it on a dance party.
Totally.
Did we totally lose Jay?
How close by are those costumes?
They're just over here.
I do, Windsor, I think it's a brilliant idea about the designer B&B.
Okay, let's do it. Let's figure it
I
out.
think we're on that.
Okay.
We'll call you.
If you were, I saw something printed up there. Did you see the question when it came up? The first words were, if you were.
Right.
Hi, can you hear me?
Now.
We're gonna try. All right, we're gonna try live from Maryland now. So New York Design Center is like overloaded with Wi-Fi right now. So I apologize for some of the wonkiness from Jackie. So I'm gonna channel Jackie, ask one last question, and then we'll wrap it up. This is a great question, just came in. If you were to start your career now during the pandemic, how would you do it? How would you set up your business? Who wants to start us off on that one?
I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't have, I currently have 2 offices that I just signed 10-year leases on both. You know, I think for me personally, I would strive to keep it as simple and have as much dexterity to a new business as possible, and make sure that you're nimble, because I think we're all in this age where none of us know what's going to happen the next day. So I think more than ever, I guess being nimble and able to move and zig and zag in this changing world would probably be my advice.
Yeah, and I'll echo that. I think, you know, for us, and I'm kind of in the same boat with multiple offices. We're building a new one.
Oh, mercy.
You know, but I think really for us, what we found through this whole thing is the one need we all have is our materials library. With the exception of that, almost everything we work on, we can do remotely. So, you know, to think about the physical space maybe being, you know, much more streamlined, or more like a job share kind of spot to go, you know, that you could work with other designers and time, and then do everything remotely. And I think if I had to do it over again, I would have started it somewhere on a beach. You know,
yeah, I think that where your home base is now, since now it's also your work home base much of the time, is incredibly important, right? So, and if you are going to have offices that are closer to destinations where you tend to work, I think it's important to make those destinations. I'm choosing the destinations that I want to work now, whereas I was doing a lot of sort of New York and LA, and now I'm doing Northern California and LA because I can jump to Van Nuys Airport on a very small, you know, aircraft. I think they have 10, 12 seats, and you don't have to go through the big long lines at the airport and all of that. So I just kind of opened up my mind to working in that space more, and now I'm keeping that circle a little tighter. So, yeah. But Hawaii would be great.
It sure would.
I think St. Bart's would be great. I'm
I'm
formulating
with you.
that prayer.
That's
Well,
perfect.
that's for you lucky ones on the East Coast.
That's right.
Easy flight. Yeah. You're very
Well,
smart.
anyone want to add anything else? And hopefully we will not ever have, repeat of a pandemic in our lifetime.
Let's
A
hope.
lot of good learnings.
Yeah.
So again, we apologize for some of the Wi-Fi issues that we're having out of New York, but thank everyone for this marvelous panel. I want to thank Jackie, our panelists, and for everyone that actually stayed on the entire time. Very impressive to keep our audience size. So everyone's very patient with these technical issues that we're having. And don't forget, you heard it here first from Windsor, designer Airbnb. So stay tuned for more on that.
We're in trouble.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely.
It's such an
So-
honor. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, so thanks again, everyone. This was really wonderful, and I hope that the rest of What's New, What's Next closes out with a huge success. And again, all of our guest designers are available at our 200 Lex showroom, as well as at arteriorshome.com. And again, thank you so much for your generosity of your time today and touring your private spaces. We greatly appreciate it. So,
Absolutely.
Thanks, Barb.
Okay.
Stay well.
Bye,
all right, take
See
care.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.